You brush, you floss, maybe you even swish mouthwash like you're trying to disinfect a crime scene. And yet, every single dental visit, your hygienist still finds more tartar to scrape off, like your teeth have been quietly building limestone deposits when you weren't looking. Sound familiar? Here's the truth most people don't hear. Brushing harder or brushing more often doesn't automatically solve tartar, because tartar isn't the real problem, it's the end of the story. The real problem started days earlier as a bacterial construction project on your teeth, a living biofilm designed to resist your toothbrush like a raincoat resists water. So today I'm going to show you how to stop tartar the smart way, not by working harder, but by working earlier, by disrupting plaque and biofilm before it mineralizes into something that basically requires chisels and a professional license. And yes, we'll talk about brushing and flossing, but we're also going to cover the hidden drivers most people miss: mouth pH, sugar and carbs, dehydration, saliva flow, and a few practical tools that make plaque less sticky and easier to remove. Quick note, this is educational content, not personal medical advice. If you have gum disease, sensitive teeth, mouth ulcers, braces, or you're unsure about any rinse or product, check with your dentist first. The goal is prevention and smarter habits, not irritating your mouth or nuking your oral microbiome. Alright, let's start at the beginning. Because to understand tartar, you have to understand plaque. Plaque is that soft, sticky, velvety film that forms on your teeth. It's made of bacteria, food particles, and proteins from your saliva. If you've ever run your tongue over your teeth a few hours after eating and felt that fuzzy coating, that's plaque. And it can start forming fast, sometimes within hours, because your mouth is warm, moist, and full of tiny surfaces bacteria can cling to. Think of plaque like the early stage of a campsite: a few tents, a couple chairs, a small fire. Easy to pack up, easy to wipe away. But there's a twist. Plaque isn't just dirt, it's alive. It's a living community. And living things defend themselves. This is where biofilm enters the story. A biofilm is a protective coating bacteria create, like a slime matrix shield that glues them together and anchors them to surfaces. It's not just a random mess, it's organized. It's like bacteria building a fortress. The biofilm holds the colony tight, protects it from being washed away, and makes it harder for your toothbrush bristles to actually reach the bacteria underneath. That's why you can brush and still have plaque hanging on in hard-to-reach spots, especially near the gum line and between teeth. Now here's the moment where plaque becomes tartar. If plaque and biofilm aren't removed consistently, saliva starts to mineralize them. Your saliva naturally contains minerals like calcium and phosphorus, normally a good thing, but those minerals can harden the biofilm over time, like pouring cement over a sticky net. When that happens, plaque transforms from soft and brushable into something hard, crusty, and stubborn. That hardened, mineralized biofilm is tartar, also called dental calculus. And yes, calculus is a word you've heard in math, but in this case it means something like stone or pebble. Dental calculus is basically dental rock. Once it forms, it's incredibly difficult to remove with regular brushing. In many cases, it needs professional tools to scrape it off safely. So tartar isn't random. It's not inevitable. It's plaque that stayed long enough to get fossilized. And if you want to stop tartar, you don't just fight tartar. You prevent plaque from becoming a mineralized fortress in the first place. Now let's talk about what makes that transformation happen faster, because this is where most people accidentally help the bacteria. One of the biggest drivers is pH, how acidic or alkaline your mouth is. A healthy mouth tends to be slightly neutral to slightly alkaline. That environment is friendlier to enamel and less friendly to the most aggressive plaque-forming bacteria. But when the mouth becomes more acidic, certain bacteria thrive. And what do those bacteria love to eat? Sugar and refined carbohydrates. This is the part nobody wants to hear because it's not as fun as buying a new toothpaste, but it's real. Sugar and carbs aren't just food for you, they're fuel for bacteria. When these bacteria metabolize sugars, a major byproduct is acid, often lactic acid. The more frequent the sugar exposure, the more frequent the acid baths on your teeth. And that acid has two problems. Problem number one, it pulls minerals out of enamel. Enamel is hard because it's mineralized. Acid demineralizes it. That's part of how cavities begin. Problem number two, those minerals don't vanish into thin air. In an environment with plaque and biofilm present, mineral movement can contribute to that hardening process, helping plaque turn into tartar faster. So if you want to slow tartar, one of the smartest strategies isn't brush harder, it's reduce frequent acid production. That means cutting back, not necessarily eliminating forever, but cutting back on frequent sugar hits and refined carb snacking, especially the kind you sip or nibble all day, because the frequency matters just as much as the amount. Now, another major driver, one that surprises people, is dehydration. Saliva is not just spit. Saliva is your mouth's security system. Saliva buffers acids. It neutralizes pH swings. It contains enzymes and antibacterial proteins. It helps break down debris. It also acts like a rinse cycle, washing away food particles before bacteria can throw a party. And it makes tooth surfaces a little slicker, which makes it harder for plaque to get a foothold. When you're dehydrated, saliva flow drops. That means your mouth gets drier. And a dry mouth is a perfect storm. More acidic conditions, less natural rinsing, less buffering, and stickier plaque. The biofilm becomes more stubborn. Tartar formation speeds up. This is why people who sleep with their mouth open, snore, take certain medications, drink lots of coffee without water, or go long stretches without hydration often see more plaque and tartar tartar buildup even if they brush regularly. So yes, brushing and flossing matter, but the environment you create in your mouth matters too. Now let's get practical. If tartar is mineralized biofilm, the goal is simple. Disrupt plaque early, make it less sticky, and keep the environment less friendly for biofilm formation. We'll start with the basics, then we'll add smart boosters. First, brush consistently and correctly. Not aggressively, correctly. A soft bristle brush, gentle pressure, and attention to the gum line. Most plaque forms at the border where tooth meets gum. That's the coastline where bacteria build their little cities. Second, floss. And here's a trick many people miss. Flossing before brushing can make brushing more effective. Floss breaks up plaque between teeth and along the edges. Then brushing sweeps it away. If you do it the other way around, you brush first, then floss pulls stuff out. But you've already finished the sweep. Third, don't underestimate timing. Brushing before breakfast can be helpful because plaque and biofilm form overnight even if you didn't eat. That's like saying, why clean the kitchen? I didn't cook, except bacteria were cooking all night. Now once you've got the basics, let's talk about additional tools, natural and practical, that can help break up biofilm, neutralize acid, support saliva, and reduce bacterial adhesion. Tool number 1 is NaCN acetylcysteine. NaC is often discussed for broader health reasons, but in the context of the mouth, the interesting part is biofilm disruption. Biofilms are held together by chemical bonds and sticky structures. NaC has been studied for its ability to interfere with biofilm structure in certain settings, making the plaque less organized and less tightly glued down. In simple terms, it can make plaque sloppier, less armored, easier to remove. If someone uses NaC for oral support, the key is contact time. A capsule you swallow gives little direct mouth contact. A lozenge that dissolves slowly or a diluted rinse creates contact time between the compound and the plaque layer. If you're considering this, talk to your dentist or healthcare professional, especially if you're on medications or have specific conditions. Tool number 2 is xylitol. Xylitol is a sugar alcohol sometimes called birch sugar. What makes it useful for teeth is that it doesn't feed the same bacteria the way sugar does, and it can reduce the ability of certain cavity and plaque-associated bacteria to thrive and stick. It also tends to stimulate saliva. Many people notice their mouth feels more watery after xylitol gum or mints, and that saliva boost is protective on its own. One important safety note: xylitol is extremely dangerous for dogs. If you keep xylitol gum or mints around, keep them completely out of reach of pets. For humans, xylitol is often used daily via gum or mints after meals. The goal isn't to replace brushing, it's to reduce adhesion, stimulate saliva, and create an environment that's less friendly to plaque's favorite bacteria. Tool number 3 is baking soda. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, neutralizes acid quickly. That's its superpower. It also has mild abrasive properties which can help clean tooth surfaces, but that's also why you don't want to overdo it. Too much abrasion or too frequent use can irritate gums or contribute to enamel wear over time, especially if you're brushing hard. A smarter approach is limited use, like 2 to 3 times per week as a gentle rinse or very light brushing support, not an everyday scrub the floors solution. Tool number 4 is hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is essentially water with an extra oxygen atom, and that extra oxygen creates an environment many oral bacteria don't love, especially those that prefer low oxygen conditions. Many problematic plaque bacteria do well in anaerobic or low oxygen pockets, exactly what plaque provides. That's part of why plaque is such a good shelter. It creates a protected, low oxygen neighborhood. A properly diluted hydrogen peroxide rinse used occasionally can reduce bacterial load and disrupt that anaerobic advantage. But, and this matters, overuse can irritate soft tissues, alter the oral microbiome balance, and cause sensitivity in some people. If someone uses it, dilution and frequency are key, and it should be limited. Again, often in the range of 2 to 3 times per week, not multiple times per day, and not used full strength. Tool number 5 is antimicrobial herbs, especially essential oils, used carefully. Certain plant oils are naturally antibacterial, like clove, tea tree, oregano, cinnamon, and neem. But natural does not mean safe undiluted. Essential oils can irritate tissues or cause a burning sensation if used improperly. If someone uses them, they must be diluted properly in a carrier oil. A common carrier oil people use is coconut oil because it's popular for oil pulling and may have mild antimicrobial properties on its own. Oil pulling is basically swishing oil in the mouth for several minutes, then spitting it out. The idea is to help reduce bacterial load and disrupt debris and buildup. If essential oils are added, they should be used sparingly and only a few times per week at most, because too much can irritate tissues and potentially disrupt the natural balance of beneficial bacteria. That brings us to something really important. Your mouth has a microbiome too. Most people know about the gut microbiome now, but your mouth also has a living ecosystem. It's not just good bacteria versus bad bacteria, it's a balance. And some of the aggressive approaches, too much baking soda, too much peroxide, too many harsh antiseptics, can throw off that balance. That can lead to irritation, sensitivity sensitivity, and sometimes even rebound issues. So here's the smart way to structure all of this. Daily habits versus occasional tools. Daily habits are the foundation because tartar prevention is mostly consistency and timing. Daily, brush gently and thoroughly, floss, ideally before brushing, stay hydrated and reduce frequent sugar carbohydrate exposures that keep mouth pH low all day. Add xylitol gum or mints after meals if you like because it supports saliva and reduces bacterial stickiness. Coconut oil pulling, if you enjoy it and tolerate it, can be done daily for a few minutes, but it's optional, not mandatory. Occasional tools, baking soda rinses, diluted hydrogen peroxide rinses, and essential oils should be thought of as once-in-a-while interventions, not daily routines. 2 to 3 times per week is a common ceiling people use for these types of stronger approaches because the goal is to disrupt plaque without irritating tissues or flattening your mouth's natural bacterial defenses. So what might a practical routine look like? In the morning, brush before breakfast to remove overnight biofilm. Floss first if you can. After meals, use xylitol gum or xylitol mint to stimulate saliva and make it harder for bacteria to adhere. Stay hydrated, especially if you drink coffee or tea. At night, floss and brush carefully along the gum line because that's where plaque tries to set up permanent residency. Then on 2 or 3 days per week, you can rotate in one of the stronger supports, like a baking soda rinse or a properly diluted peroxide rinse, never both at once and never excessively. If you experiment with essential oils, keep them diluted and limited. And here's the most underrated strategy of all. Stop thinking of plaque like dirt and start thinking of it like fresh cement. Fresh cement is easy to wipe off. Give it time and it becomes a sidewalk. Plaque is easy to remove when it's fresh. Give it time and it becomes tartar. So the win isn't heroic brushing. The win is consistent disruption before the bacteria finish building their fortress. Finally, let's be honest about expectations. If you already have heavy tartar buildup, these habits are not a magic eraser. Tartar that's already calcified often needs professional cleaning. But here's the good news. If you start these habits now, then after your next cleaning, when everything is fresh again, you can dramatically slow the rate at which tartar returns. That's where prevention really shines. If you want the simplest summary, it's this: control the environment, disrupt the biofilm early, and use targeted tools with restraint. Brush smart, floss strategically, hydrate, reduce frequent sugar exposure, support saliva, use xylitol daily if you like. Save the stronger options for occasional use. And if you found this helpful and you want more work smarter, not harder health breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications because the next video will take this same approach to another problem most people think is inevitable but absolutely isn't.